Hi everyone, Zach Smith here with Fiorentino Pair Anchor. I decided to go ahead and make this standalone bridle setup video just because it makes it easier to find on YouTube, and I do receive a lot of questions via email in reference to how do I set up a bridle for my particular monohull or multi-hull sailboat. The good news is you can use the same bridle setup for both boats, and you can also use the same bridle setup for both your storm drogue and your parachute sea anchor. This saves you a lot of money and of course storage space. If you have additional questions, please leave a comment below. If not, you can always contact Fiorentino at info@paraanchor.com. That's info@para-anchor.com. Thank you so much for watching. A para-anchor or storm drogue bridle is used to spread loads at 2 points on a boat to help better position the boat's bow or stern into the wind and waves. Proper boat positioning with your drag device can dramatically increase vessel stability during a storm. There are 2 common bridle types. A fixed bridle, defined as 2 separate rods connected to the para-anchor rod, and a block bridle, defined as a single rod with a snatch block at the bitter end, which is capable of locking onto the para-anchor rod. Both bridle types can be used interchangeably at the bow or stern of your boat. For para-anchor deployment with a multi-hull, the bridle typically positions a boat into a head-to-wind station. Wind and wave hit the boat's bows at the 12 o'clock position. Most multi-hull sailors prefer the head-to-wind station. In rare circumstances, some sailors will shorten one bridle arm by a few feet in order to heave to at about 10 degrees off the wind. This places your boat's bows in the 1 o'clock close-hauled position. Bridle length recommendations by Fiorentino for multi-hulls are approximately 1 foot for every foot of boat, your boat's length. We do exclude bowsprits in this measurement. The length recommendation is the same for both the fixed and block bridle. Other suppliers recommend the following for their multi-hull bridle: 2.5 to 3 times the boat's beam. 66 feet is listed in one manual with no additional instruction. Other suppliers have no information in manuals or website. You'll have to contact them for clarification. Authors in general tend to repeat manufacturer's instruction, with some writers suggesting longer bridles up to 100 feet. The issue with an overly long bridle is one side can remain taut while the other side slackens. Eventually, the slack rope becomes taut again, causing tremendous shock loading. This type of behavior can also cause a boat to slowly spin sideways on the loaded side of the bridle. As a reminder, shock loading can reduce road strength by as much as 50%. If the rope absorbs water, you can add another 40% loss in road strength. This equation might make it easier to break the road. For this reason, Fiorentino recommends shorter bridles since they tend to slacken less, all in an effort to promote constant loading on the bridle to reduce oscillation, defined as the relaxing of road followed by a sudden surge caused by the reinflation of a drag device canopy. When it comes to securing the bridle to your boat, the most common method is to use the forward docking cleats as an anchoring point for your bridle. We can also shackle the bridle into eyes built on the outer hulls, like Jim Milski talked about earlier in this video. Some of the older boat designs might add a little challenge when setting up a bridle. During one para-anchor deployment test outside the Golden Gate Bridge near San Francisco, the bridle ended up resting on top of the crossbar cables after we chose to use the forward docking cleats as an attachment point. We later determined it was better to shackle the bridle where the crossbar joined the fiberglass hull, since this area was robust and had a backing plate. This move definitely prevented the bridle from resting on the crossbar cables. In another sea trial, we anchored the bridle at the forward docking cleats and had no issue with the bridle resting on top of the crossbar cables. However, the bridle bounced around too much. To solve this problem, we decided to use snatch blocks as a stopper to fix the bridle at one location. Locking the bridle down can help reduce chafe on the road. Many multi-hulls already have eyes built either on top of or in front of their hulls, which can be used as an option for anchoring your fixed bridle. This requires spliced eye at both ends of the bridle rod. One end is shackled at the boat, and the opposite end is shackled onto the para-anchor rod. As a friendly reminder, Fiorentino recommends para-anchor rode length to be approximately 10 times your boat's length. The para-anchor rode also has a splice at both ends of the rode. One end of the rode is connected to the fixed bridle and the opposite end to the para-anchor. Keep in mind that rode length recommendations do vary between manufacturers. Some sailors may choose to use a snatch block to form the bridle with their para-anchor. In this scenario, the only difference in setup is the para-anchor rode is secured to one outer hole, and the block bridle, also known as a pendant line, is secured to the opposite outer hole. The block bridle will always end up shorter than a fixed bridle because you have to haul in the pendant line until the block ends up near midship, which is in the middle of the boat. The bridle never remains taut unless the block is close to the boat. Fiorentino discovered how this rule applies to all boats, including the monohulls. The only difference with the monohulls are the angles used to position the single-hull boats to the wind. Most sailboats are positioned approximately 40 degrees off the wind. This places your boat's bow in the 2 o'clock close reach position. Motor sailors or power boats frequently hove to 10 degrees off the wind in the 1 o'clock close haul position. The main advantage of the block bridle is the ability to adjust rode lengths, which can help maintain constant loading on the rode as the weather changes. Making rode adjustments in rough seas can be a challenge unless you practice first. I would like to briefly mention how the para-anchor's fixed and block bridles can also be used interchangeably with the storm drogue. For the multi-hulls, bridle lengths remain mostly the same. However, I have found both types of bridles tend to perform better if they're really short for the monohulls. While sailing in the Baja Rally, we had a nice blow of following sea, so the crew and I decided to play with the shark drogue. The most effective bridle length for the fin-keeled sailboat was between 3 and 5 feet. In storm conditions, I've used as much as 10 feet in the past. Since full-keeled sailboats track better than a fin keel, I frequently use lengths up to 20 feet. It's important to mention that most published details regarding bridle lengths for storm drogues vary from 30 to 50 feet. It's a good idea to practice using your equipment and find out what works best for your boat. And always ask questions. For example, where do I anchor the bridle for my storm drogue? The answer: usually at your primary winches. However, there are other options if sheet winches aren't available. To conclude, I would like to list Fiorentino's constant rode tension formula as a reminder on how to help reduce shock loading and to maximize the holding power of your drag devices. The first solution is rode adjustment. So if I have a 40-foot boat and I'm carrying 400 feet of rode, during calm weather I'm paying out a boat length or two, and gale force conditions anywhere from 150 to 200 feet, and in heavy weather conditions can be as much as 400 feet of rode. But if I don't want to make any kind of rode adjustment, I can add some kind of weight to the system. Usually it's chain. For parachute sea anchors and speed limiting drogues, that would be 10 pounds at the canopy end. That way when there is slack in the rode, the chain sinks, which helps inflate the canopy, reduces your shock loading. For stopping drogues like the series drogue, you would have to go with what the designer has always recommended, 35 to 50 pounds of weight to help eliminate the shock loading in that particular system. We've talked about shorter bridles. Obviously, the shorter they are, they stretch a little bit less. I can add a rope that has less stretch as well into the system. I've done that with the U.S. Navy and NASA when I built equipment for them. You can add Dyneema ropes, or you can mix a combination of nylon and Dacron. There are a variety of ways you can reduce stretch that way. And if all else fails, I've deployed the equipment exactly per instruction and I'm getting shock loading in the system. You can increase speed of the boat either through engine power or by flying more sail. So I hope all this has been helpful for you. Thank you so much for watching.